It's time to live your stronger life. Hey, I'm Sammy, physio coach and nutritionist, and your hype girl for creating your stronger life. Here, we ditch the quick fixes and build real strength inside and out. So whether you're here to tone up, drop the body fat, build muscle, mental resilience, or ditch the diet culture, or just feel bloody good in your skin, you're in the right place. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the podcast, fam. All right, I have a question for you. Be honest with yourself for a moment. Are you actually training hard enough to see results? Or are you just turning up and going through the motions when you go to the gym? Because there is a big difference between working out and training with intention. And today's episode isn't about shaming, it's not about pushing extremes, it's not about grinding yourself to the ground, but it is about clarity and it is about understanding what effective training really looks like and feels like for you, and whether your current approach is truly giving your body a reason to change. Because you can be turning up to the gym, you can be exercising consistently and not getting any results, and this is probably why. So what does training hard enough actually mean? And training hard doesn't mean that you're collapsing on the ground, you're a sweaty mess and you're sore for days and days and days and feeling destroyed after every session. That is not what it means. It means you're creating enough stimulus, enough challenge for your body to adapt. And muscles don't grow just because you lifted weights. It grows because you challenged it beyond what's currently capable of, and then you paused, rested, refueled, and allowed your muscles to recover and adapt. So here are some signs that you are actually training hard enough. Number one, film your sets. So the first one is your reps are slowing down. One of the clearest signs that you're training effectively is as your set goes on, you are slowing down. That last couple of reps are slower. If you're like pumping through that shoulder press at the same speed at the start as you did at the end, you did not push yourself anywhere near failure. And in order for us to grow, we want to try and get within 1 to 2 repetitions of failure. That means that we've put enough mechanical stimulus through the muscle that it's like, oh, I cannot do any more. And then it's going to go, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to fail again. So it's going to adapt and get stronger. So next time you can tackle that exact exercise and do even better. That's how you get stronger. So if your first repetition looks exactly the same as your last repetition, you did not go heavy enough, or you did not do enough repetitions, you did not push yourself. That last little bit of the set, it should feel heavier. You have to lock in. You can't rush. You're controlling the weight. If every rep looks the same and feels the same, you're not challenging your muscles enough. So are your reps slowing down? And the best way to see that is by filming your sets, because then when you're looking at that last couple of reps, like if you watch it back and you see yourself grinding it out, and if you've ever watched some of mine, especially on my squats, I've had people come to me thinking I'm failing, like, oh my God, she needs help. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just grinding out my last rep. I am fine. I am just pushing hard. And you know, what may take 1 second to push it up, by the end of it, it's like 1, 2, 3, push, like, oh shit, I'm not going to make it. But you keep going. That means you're pushing hard enough. And that's what you want to see at the end of every set. Sign number 2 that you are training hard enough. You're training close to failure and you're not avoiding it. And I am not talking about just feeling the burn. Just feeling the burn is not the same as training to failure. So you do not need to hit complete failure every single set though. There is good evidence that just within 1 to 2 reps is fabulous. That is all you need. Training, because what happens is when you push yourself to true failure, look, to be honest, you could think that you're training to failure and you're probably not, because your brain will stop you before your body. So you're not likely to be training to failure anyways. But if you actually train to true physical failure, the amount of recovery that you need to recover from that particular set that took you to failure is really big compared to if you just leave 1 or 2 reps in the tank. And then the ability to then push in further sets is a lot easier if you leave 1 to 2 reps in the tank. But the amount of growth that you get from doing that 1 or 2 reps in the tank versus full failure is not that big. So the recovery is a lot harder, but the gains are not that much better. So the cost versus risk benefit ratio is just better to go within 1 to 2 reps of failure, and then you can continue on with your training session. And then maybe like on the last set of the big exercises, go ham, go push yourself balls to the wall and totally push it out. Totally fine, because you're like, I'm done. I don't have to recover anymore, and I can go really properly recover by the end of my training session. But if you're constantly stopping with 5 or 6 reps left in the tank, your body has no real reason to change. And it's not just about feeling the burn, because if you just stop because you feel the burn, that isn't failure. That's just feeling the burn. If you stop when you think that you're done, guarantee you, if you had a gun to your head, you'd do another couple of reps. Always think like that. 1 more rep. And sometimes it's about pausing, recollecting your breath, having a brace, and then going again, and then you can do a couple more reps. Often it's that. I was literally on the hack squat yesterday and I failed a rep. I literally failed my rep, and I came back up. Someone helped me lift it back up, and I was like, hang a sec, I'm just going to have 5 seconds because I know I'm not done. Based on the reps that I did, I know I'm not done. I got distracted in my repetition, and that is why I failed that rep. So I just paused for a sec, took a couple of breaths, and I went again, did 3 more reps. And I was like, yeah, I knew I wasn't done the set. I just had an oopsie and just hit the bottom a bit hard, and I fell out of my core control and whatnot. So you want to try and push to failure, and sometimes you will feel like you fail even if you haven't. But effective training really lives within that 1 to 2 reps of failure. And that requires your focus and your effort. And that I could not do anymore without, when failure is either physical or technical. So physical failure is like, you're doing a shoulder press and you literally cannot lift it up. You get up to here and then it falls back down. That's physical failure. Technical failure would be like if you're doing a bicep curl and you start jumping up and down to throw the weight up, you're not really using your biceps anymore. That would be technical failure. Now, more advanced lifters can actually start to use the momentum in advantage and actually still use the muscles. But I would say for more beginners, once they start using momentum, they don't know how to control it. And so stop the set there, you're done. That's technical failure. When you push within that 1 to 2 reps, that's where real results are built. Okay, sign number 3 that you are actually pushing yourself hard enough in your training sessions. You are getting stronger, you are building muscle, and progressive overload is happening. So are you progressing in your training, or are you doing the same weight for the same reps, for the same set, for the same exercise every single bloody time? If you are not progressing, therefore you are not pushing yourself hard enough. So progressive overload could look like an improvement in your range of motion or your technique in the exercise. That's probably step 1 is what I would recommend. Full range of motion, better control, maybe a slight pause in the deep squat position or something like that. You have better control of the movement. The set just feels better. Then another way that you could add it is adding more repetitions. That'd be my second recommendation. You did 10 reps last week. This week you're going to do 11 reps. The next week you're going to do 12 reps. Then you're going to add some more weight. And the weight can be 500 grams, 1 kilo, 2 kilos. You don't have to do big leaps at a time to still be adding more stimulus. Your body doesn't know if you added 5 kilos or 10 kilos. Really, it just knows mechanical tension and stimulus. So if you just add 1 more kilo, it's actually a little bit more mechanical tension for your body to overcome. You survive that set and the body goes, oh man, I know that was hard. I don't want to struggle through that again. Let's build some muscle so we're strong so we can handle that for next time. That is how you know progressive overload is happening. And sign number 4, you're getting stronger, which also kind of leads to the progressive overload. Strength gains don't just happen by adding plates every single week. It could also be that, like I was just talking about, the set just feels better. That same weight starts feeling lighter. You're getting more comfortable under the load. You're getting more comfortable to also push yourself closer to failure. That is progressive overload in itself. You're not going to instantly walk into the gym and start pushing to failure on day 1. You need to build the confidence up for that. You're more stable and you can push harder and harder. Strength is one of the clearest indications that your training is actually working. And if you're like, I'm stuck, I can't go to the next dumbbell, or I can't add the next weight, do the smallest amount possible. And if you do the smallest amount of progressive overload consistently week after week after week, it adds up. If you add 1 kilo to your leg press every week, you're like, this is 1 kilo. Imagine what that looks like in 52 weeks time. That's 52 kilos added to your leg press. It can really add up. So keep progressing, small changes. And if you're getting stronger, you're actually pushing hard enough. Sign number 5, you are seeing physical muscle changes. Now, this does not happen overnight. This is one of those ones where it's delayed gratification and you just got to ride the wave. But over time, you should notice more shape, more firmness, better muscle definition, your clothes are fitting differently. And if you're going months and months and months passing with no visible changes or measurable changes, then it's time to look at how hard are you training, and actually, more importantly, what's your training program? Well, not more importantly, but just equally importantly, is your training program actually decent, or is it a shit training program with no structure? And also, very importantly, your nutrition, because you can go as hard as you want, go balls to the wall in your training and push as hard as you can. But if your nutrition sucks, your progress will also suck. So that is another consideration. Under this, you're not seeing physical muscle changes. Okay, sign number 6, your technique is improving under load. This one I've kind of talked about, but it's very important because it's very underrated. Training hard doesn't just mean sloppy ass reps, using momentum, throwing the weight around, ego lifting. In fact, one of the biggest signs of progress is to be able to control the heavier weights better, maintain form when things get tough, stay connected to the muscles, Better technique under challenge is higher quality stimulus. Can you get that full depth range? I'm sick of seeing half rep parries on the leg press and little shitty little lunges and squats. And I'm like, that's not impressive. Like, I'm more impressed by a full, controlled, deep leg press that's paused in the stretch and then powered out. That is so much more impressive, and that's going to grow more muscle. It's not the weight, it's the mechanical tension and moving the muscle through range. So here's a quick reality check for you. If you are always choosing the comfortable weight, if you're always rushing your sets, you're avoiding the discomfort, you're not tracking your progress, your training programs just however you feel, and your reps and your sets and everything looks the same week after week after week because you're in routine, no matter how often you train, your results will always be limited. Effort matters, intent matters. Consistency with the right challenge matters and will get you results. And it doesn't mean you need to be spending hours and hours in the gym. In fact, if you are limited with your time that you have available in the gym or at home in your training, this is more important. If you have less time available, less energy to give to your training program, you need to make sure it is giving you the best bang for your buck and you're getting the best results possible. So you want to make sure you're nailing this. The less volume available, the more this is super duper important. But it's not about training harder and harder and harder and pushing yourself and sweating and who gives a shit about the calorie burns. None of that. It's about training hard enough, often enough, so that your body actually wants to adapt and grow and improve. So I want you to ask yourself this. Am I giving my body a reason to change? Am I training with intention, or am I just turning up and moving through the motion and doing whatever? Training is not about pushing your body and exercising for punishment or anything like that. It's about building strength internally, externally, building muscle, protecting your health, your independence, and also it's freaking awesome to just build muscle and be really like confident and proud of yourself of how strong you are. See training for all the positives and the things that it gives you, not about burning the calories or trying to get as much done as you can or just moving your body to tick a box. When you see it with these positive things, you're actually going to want to push yourself harder because you're like, I want to get better, I want to get stronger, and this is so much fun. So my homework for you, start filming your sets so you can actually see if you're training hard enough. And thank you so much for listening, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks so much for listening. If you found this episode valuable, please rate, review, and subscribe. And I'd love if you shared this on your Instagram and tag me, Sammy_livestrong. And if you'd like to learn more about my coaching and join the Project Livestrong family, please message me, Livestrong, on Instagram, and I'll see how I can help. I'll see you next time.